Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. For today's topic, I wanted to discuss grief because grief is more often than not associated with loss of life. And in reality, grief is a result of loss. And those losses can be through any of life's transitions, certainly through the loss of a loved one. People expect you to grieve, but there are other transitions in life where people feel loss and grieve that loss, but it's not so much expected in society. For instance, if you grow up with childhood friends in your neighborhood and you go to elementary school, middle school, and high school with them, you develop quite a bond. And then you graduate high school, and in that transition from high school to college, those connections can be lost. Now, with technology these days, it's great, and there's Zoom and FaceTime and all sorts of other apps that we can connect through. But that daily contact of walking to school together, playing sports together, that dynamic has changed. And so oftentimes, students will go from high school to college, and until they've adjusted, feel grief in the loss of their surroundings that they grew up with, their comfort network. And the same can be said when you graduate from high school to college. You've now found a new network of friends. You graduate, you go home to the different states you came from, or perhaps off to a new state where you found a job. And so that transition from college into your first career-related job is its own transition. Now you've got new friends to find, new connections to make, maybe a new state to become familiar with. And then you think about in society today, especially since the first quarter of this year, with so many jobs being cut, that's an additional transition. And so where it affects all of us, I think the biggest feelings and responses are the kids right out of college, students graduating, going to college, getting their first job, and then suddenly losing that job after they've now found their new network. And if they're out of state, a lot of times it's like a surrogate family. You know, they've got new friends that they've made at their job, and with a lot of companies having benefits and amenities that are on-site restaurants and on-site fitness centers or memberships to local fitness centers. For a lot of the students graduating from college, they make that new network. They may get up in the morning and go to the gym with them, go to work and have breakfast together, and then have lunch together when they got their break, finish their day, and maybe they work out after, or they go cycling, or whatever other outside activities they have may include those same coworkers. So now the new network is gone. And even though still you can remain connected, it's not the same. You wake up in the morning, you don't have a job, your friends are still going to work, so they're not available to spend time with. And when a lot of the activities surrounded work, well, if you're on a work softball team and you don't work for that company anymore, you've lost that as well. So that's another transition that can lead to grief and feeling that grieving process. But no one really expects that from you. They expect it when a loved one dies, but not so much when you lose a job or graduate, because graduation is a great accomplishment. And so even in the events in our lives that are highs, we experience lows sometimes, because it's, yes, I got this promotion or I got this job and it's wonderful, but now I'm moving to a new state where I don't know anyone. The other end of the spectrum is when people retire, and whether it's as part of a staff reduction and it's unexpected, or even if it's planned and you've worked your whole life and you think this is great, I worked my whole life, I've saved up, I've done everything that I need for retirement, and now it's my time. And then that first Monday morning comes around and you don't go to work. And maybe that one's okay, maybe the first week or so, because you feel like you're on vacation. But after that, especially if you come from a culture where you work the whole job, job your whole life, you worked for the same company, I should say, because you can progress in that same company, but that's where you've been your whole life. And then all of a sudden, those people are gone. You go through a grieving period because it's loss. It's loss of the people that sat next to you at work, who was on the other side of the cube, who did you play softball with, who did you go sit next to in all of the meetings, and all of those sorts of events. And so again, that is one of life's transitions that involves grieving. And so I say today, if we could all be more aware of the fact and define grief more as loss rather than just loss of life, as significant as that is and what a great impact it can have on you, grief as a result of loss through any of life transitions can lead to severe side effects. If unmanaged or untreated, can lead to depression and sadly sometimes even suicide. We've seen people over the years that commit suicide at the loss of jobs because they couldn't find a new one quick enough, and that could mean loss of their homes and their lifestyles, and it's just unmanageable for some people. And so if we as a society can be better about being proactive about labeling our feelings and understand that what may present as anger or sadness is part of the grief process, then maybe we can be more proactive with each other and, have triggers on our mind that, yes, we know when someone loses a loved one, we should connect with them and check in on them. But let's make sure we start doing that in other instances. Check in on our kids when they graduate from high school to college. Yes, it's a great accomplishment and they're doing something new and making new friends, but are they really okay their first time away from home? And when they graduate from college and they go on and they start working a career in a different location, or they're not living at home, even if it's locally and they first have their first home or apartment or whatever it is, their first time living alone, it's a great accomplishment. It's something to be proud of. It's something for them to be happy about. There may also be some grief to the result of being on their own for the first time. And so let's check in on them as well, and especially our seniors, because they retire, and what may have been their purpose in life, if they associated who they are with what they did, can be a bit traumatic for them. So in general, let's just all check in on each other. I'm going to leave a line in the description with a link to the suicide hotline for anyone that may need that. And let's build more community around supporting one another through grief, through all the different transitions in life. And as always, I wish you faith, hope, and love in your life. Bye for now.